Hi everyone, welcome to week 8 of your pharmacy software course. This week we are covering chapter 8, which is all about entering prescriptions. And you might notice that my screen looks a little bit different this week because I wanted to start with another piece of information before we get into the details of this chapter. In this chapter on page 82, they talk about the DEA number verification process. And they go through and they tell you how to do that. And I just wanted to give you another source for that. This is a screen of a PowerPoint that I've done previously. And it talks a little bit about how to verify a DEA number. Because as you are putting in any new physicians, you're going to want to verify that they have the correct DEA. So the first thing you want to look at is you should always have 2 letters followed by 7 numbers. Okay, so 2 letters followed by 7 numbers, so a total of 9 digits. Okay, so those first 2 letters either have to be A, B, M, or P. That's the first letter. First letter is always A, B, M, or P. And that basically tells us something about the prescriber. Are they a doctor? Is it a hospital DEA, those types of things. So it gives us information like that, as well as what they're allowed to prescribe. Can they prescribe controlled substances, things like that. The second letter is always the first letter of the registrant's last name. So if this is Dr. Smith, the second letter has to be an S. If it's Dr. Davis, the second letter must be a D. So that's the first 2 things that you always want to make sure of, that you have either an A, B, M, or P first, and then the letter of the doctor's last name is second. So that's the first check. Then the next part of the check is checking the numbers. So you're going to look at the digits and use those to check. And this is the checksum formula that I've put down here. It's also written in your book, and they give you an example of it. So I just wanted to reiterate that before we get into this week's material, because being able to check a DEA is definitely going to be on your certification exam. So make sure that you understand that process and how to do that. Now, this week, like I said, we are entering new prescriptions. So what you're going to be doing for me this week is taking screenshots of every prescription that you're doing. So let me just pull this up and show you what this week's screen is going to look like. Now, the very first thing it's going to do is kind of walk you through how to get to this place. You're going to click on RX screen if you're not already there when you first open, which most of the time that's where you're opening to. And then they're going to tell you how to get to this new RX. And it says enter an asterisk to start. So you'll always want to put an asterisk in there and hit enter. Now, keep in mind, this is just sample software, so every software is going to be a little bit different on how to get to this new screen. But for this particular software, you're going to hit an asterisk in this first box right here and hit enter. That's going to take you to the place where you can start entering a new prescription. Now, you're going to enter, you have a total of 30 prescriptions this week, so that means 30 screenshots for me. These are the screens that you're going to send me, is this screen right here. So a total of 30 of them. This one is actually the very first one. So on page 87, you should see this prescription for Jason Wilson. So the first thing you're going to want to do, and it walks you through these steps starting on page 83. So it's going to walk you through each step of this process. So entering the new patient. So you're going to do last name first. And when you hit enter, if the patient's there, it'll populate. But if the patient's not there, it's going to take you to a screen so you can enter the patient as a new patient. So you're going to have to go back to those things we learned before about how to do that. Then you're going to do the same thing with the doctor's information. Again, if the doctor's not there, it's going to give you the option to enter the doctor. And then you're going to go and do the same for the drug. Again, if the drug's not there, it's going to give you the option to do that. Now, on the drugs, you should be okay on these drugs. I believe most of those drugs are already in here. No worries on those. However, the patients and the doctors, you may have to enter. Now, make sure that you notice that on the directions it says refer to Appendix C for additional information. And what's in Appendix C is all the data you need to know about Jason Wilson, about Dr. Smith. It's going to give you addresses, phone numbers, all of those things that you need to be able to enter a new doctor or a new patient. So make sure that you are going to that resource before you start, panicking that you don't have all the information that you need, because it's all there. Then the next thing that you're going to do once you enter the drug name is you're going to enter the information down here under the fill datum. So the date written is going to be today's date, whatever date it is that you are actually making, doing your assignment. That's what you're going to put in there. And the other thing I wanted to point out to you is the SIG language. If the directions don't automatically pre-populate when you put the drug in, you are going to have to go in and you're going to have to either find the correct drug language or enter it yourself. So when you go here, if you hit SIG language, let's see if it'll open for me. Let's see, I might have to take this out. Yeah, let's do this. So we don't, if we don't have SIG language in here, so I took it out. I took out the directions I had already made. We're going to go over here to where it says SIG screen, and it's going to give us a place to look for the directions. Now, I made these directions to match what the doctor had said. Take 1 capsule by mouth daily for GERD. And I gave it a name. I gave it a code. And so once you do that and return to the record, it's going to put that in there for you. So you're going to want to search on that SIG screen for the correct directions. And there are tons and tons of directions on here. But if the directions that you need aren't found here, you can create your own by doing add SIG and then making up a code and typing in the directions that the doctor wrote on that specific prescription. Once you do that and you've got that in there and you saved it, then you can return to the record and it'll automatically pre-populate that for you. So if you're not sure about the SIG language, if you can't find it, whatever, create your own. It's okay to do that on this. Just know that in the real world, you're going to have a lot of that already pre-populated in the system. You're going to know these codes. Some of these codes are going to be things that you're going to create and just use over and over and over again. So just know that this is just specifically for this particular exercise. And then the cost and price information, you don't have to touch that. That's going to all be done for you over here. So you're going to have all that entered already. Nothing that you need to do there. So once you're at this point and you save it, this is where you're going to take a screenshot. So you should have a total, like I said, of 30 screenshots because there are 30 prescriptions this week. So as you're going through this, if you have any problems or questions, please make sure that you reach out to me and have a great week.